Hello everybody, we are live on YouTube for the Championship Preview show. The last one for this half of the season is game week number 23. Takes us up to the halfway mark and the last one before Christmas as well, setting up for that 3-game week post-Christmas, the mad Christmas period. All the games on weird days, etc. etc. Apologies for my disorganised state. Haven't managed to plug this at all. So if you are in the feed, do let me know and get involved with the predictions as we go through each of these games. We've got 2 chasers going up against this top 2. So it's going to be an interesting week where we find out whether Leeds and West Brom are going to turn the screw even more and everyone's going to bite their dust. Or is there actually going to be an automatic promotion race this season? These type of weekends kind of play into that narrative a lot. So we go straight to the top of the table, and that is West Brom after Leeds' draw last week. It's West Brom in first versus Brentford in fourth. This should be a really, really good game. 2 really good footballing sides in this one. Both in really good form as well. Should be goals as well. West Brom 7 wins in 8, 12 games unbeaten, 1 defeat all season. 1 more point would bring up a 50-point half of a season. We can all extrapolate that. If they do the same in the second half, they're going to get the magic 100 points, which is just absolutely killing it. No Diangana or Gibbs, Edwards and Townsend likely to be in. And it'd be interesting to see who starts up front, because we had this situation of Hal Robson-Kanu coming off the bench, scoring lots of goals and then getting the starting berth. Now Charlie Austin's done exactly the same thing. So lots of good things going on there at West Brom. Good competition for that number 9 spot as well. Brentford have 8 wins in 12 games. Finally get into the top 6 after what was basically a slow first entire 2 months, really, points-wise. No real injury problems. That front 3 is on really good form, responsible for all of the team's goals in those past 3 games. Prediction-wise, goodness, it's going to take a good team to beat West Brom, let alone at the Hawthorns. The only game West Brom have lost all season is away at Leeds, isn't it? And they're going to be playing each other on New Year's Day. Look out for that one. I know there's 3 games in between now and then. Really, really difficult one to call. I don't see Brentford winning, but I can see them getting somewhere. I can see both sides scoring. As much as I want there to be an automatic race, I think West Brom are going to win this one, aren't they? But it could be 2-1 or 3-2 or something of that nature. But I'm going to predict a West Brom victory. Maybe something to do with the fact that the first 16 might be better than Brentford's first 16, whereas the 11s kind of match up. Gary says close game 2-1 Albion. Something of that nature is what we're likely to see. Should be a really good watch and a really good advert for the division, as should this one. Fulham versus Leeds. Fulham in 6th and Leeds in 2nd. And here's the moment that all Leeds fans dread. Here's my ticket for the game. I will be at Fulham versus Leeds, so we will see if the mythical curse exists. It doesn't exist, does it? Faltering Fulham, Leeds on fire at the moment. Leeds so close to that 8th straight win. 3-0 up and threw it all away in that last game, but big picture they're doing brilliantly. Like West Brom, West Brom only need a draw, but if Leeds get a win, they're also on 50 points. Incredible total for a half a season if they can do it. Liam Cooper should be back. Still no Forshaw, Shackleton, Roberts, etc. Leeds in London, though, and when people talk about curses, Leeds in London is not good. I did a quick scan, and I can't find a league win in London for Leeds since QPR December 9th, 2017. Kemar Roof hat-trick. I've seen them in London twice this season at Charlton and Millwall, and they have lost both. And the last two last season I saw them in London were at Brentford and QPR, and they lost both of those as well. So there is something in that, but surely the way they're playing at the moment, the fit first 11, Hernandez back in, Costa contributing, Harrison playing really, really well. James says, fancy Leeds nicking it at Fulham, can see them getting at Fulham and scoring on the counter. Well, let's talk about Fulham. Terrible week last week, 3-game week, 0 points for a first 11 and a squad of that quality. Not good enough. Adoy won't be about. He got himself sent off. Both the Reeds, Bobby and Harrison are back training. Harry Arter, that's a bit of a miss, and he's not been around since the 19th of October. We know what Fulham's potential is. They should be able to beat anybody, but let's talk about what's actually happening. And what's actually happening is Leeds are playing really well and Fulham aren't. You'd expect Leeds and Fulham to try and play the same game, but Leeds to just play it 25% faster is the issue probably in this game. You can't not see Leeds scoring in this game. I suspect both teams will score, but I'm suspecting that Leeds are going to win this one. All going to be down to chance taking. You'd think Leeds would have more, although you talk about finishers, Fulham have more of those than Leeds have. Interesting, really interestingly poised, but I've got to go for Leeds given the form at the moment. Break the London curse, break the Ben curse, and hopefully I'm going to enjoy a really good game and it's not absolutely hurling it down with rain like it seems to have been down this way all day. Let's go for a Leeds away win, and that top two evidently to soldier on. I'm predicting there is going to be no automatic race. Moving on, third place, it's Preston Cardiff versus Preston. Cardiff in 12th, Preston third. A bit of a Preston resurgent. Mr. E says, if Leeds win, is the top two sorted? If both those games go where you've got Fulham losing and Brentford losing, because that is like 4th and 6th, isn't it? It's starting to look that way, isn't it? Incredibly, before we're even at New Year. Strange things have happened, but that is a lot of points to swing now. You're going to be starting 12 points. It's 10 already, isn't it? 12, 13 point gaps. You just can't see. One, these teams have got to make it up, but Leeds and West Brom, they've got to start dropping points at quite a rapid rate for a fair few weeks. So, yeah, we'll see. Preston, Cardiff versus Preston. Resurgence here. Neil Harris trying to get Cardiff going once again. Preston back-to-back wins, back up to third. Darnell Fisher is out. Interesting point. This one's managed to get himself 10 bookings already, which is quite some going. We've seen Alan Brown cover in there, although I think he's a bit more used up in the number 10 position, especially while they're without Daniel Johnson. Stockley off the bench to score. And you can do as many big blokes on the pitch as you possibly can get when you're up against a squad assembled by one Neil Warnock. So, we'll see whether Stockley gets the start. Lewis says, don't think there's a team outside the top two that can catch Leeds and West Brom. That's the narrative at the moment. Cardiff, well, they looked like they were going to get a hammer in at Leeds, and then they came back and drew 3-3. Started well under Harris, need to catch back up. Now, Morrison suspended, having got himself back. Got a red card at Leeds, didn't he? Lee Tomlin in brilliant form. He seems to be scoring or assisting something each game. If this was at Preston, I would definitely be predicting a home win, but it's at Cardiff. I think Cardiff are going to win. I have no rhyme or reason for that. I just have a hunch, and Preston have been inconsistent, stripy form there. I don't see the season ending with Preston 9 places above Cardiff, put it that way. Few people have been questioning Neil Harris, so we'll see what he is all about, but I'm going to go for a Cardiff home win in this one. Sheffield Wednesday versus Bristol City is the next one. Wednesday 5th, Bristol City 7th. Either of these two teams could get promoted this season. You look how open the playoff race is behind those two teams. So a chance for either of them. Wednesday looking very strong on the pitch. 10 points in the last 4 has got them back up into 5th. It's just the off-field worries could scupper everything. Any kind of points deduction is really going to do for Wednesday, I think. Westwood, Adebayo, both back, but may not get in. Actually, we'll see. Adebayo more likely. Dawson's been all right, hasn't he, in goal for Wednesday? Although Monk tends to be a pragmatic type manager, and maybe the more experienced keeper goes straight in there. I'm interested to see what happens with Jordan Rhodes now. He seemed to have been bombed out, didn't he, by Wednesday and Chansiri, big wage. Scored a hat-trick, didn't he, last week? So does he come back in? Who knows? I think he's likely going to start, isn't he? Bristol City dropped out of the playoff places. 2 straight home defeats this past week. Not good. 3 defeats in 5 now, since they were drawing too many and not really losing too much. Now they're doing the lose, 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 win, win thing. Points totals kind of amount to the same thing if you do it that way. So they need a few more wins. They're quite good at these difficult away games, though, aren't they? Bristol City, and started that game week by winning away at Fulham. So we know they can do it away at good size. Although you would expect, what's the word I can use? Robust. Let's say Wednesday will be more robust than Fulham in terms of Bristol City's high energy game up the top there. Callas is a possibility back. Moore should be back at centre half, so some more strength there. Jay Da Silva, imagine they'd have had Jay Da Silva, Callas and Afobe fit all season. I think they would be comfortably in the playoffs now, wouldn't they? Bristol City. I think Bristol City will score, but I think Sheffield Wednesday will win and keep moving up the table. It's all set up for them to be in a really nice position and then be hamstrung by this FFP thing, which is exactly what happened to Gary Monk last season. Huddersfield versus Forest. Forest have fallen out of their tree, so to speak, out of the playoff tree. Both teams faltering, in fact. Forest all the way down to 8th when we had been looking at automatic after that 4-0 win at QPR. 5 points in the last 6, however. Not good, and a big first half battering, as we mentioned, against Wednesday last weekend. Huddersfield, similar story actually, 6 points in 7 after they'd had a real good burst of form when the Cowleys settled in there. Few possible first teamers coming back though. O'Brien, Brown, Pritchard, Campbell, all up the front end as well there, which would help if Carlin Grant actually needs any help scoring. Transfer rumours ahoy with him and January coming up. I'm going to predict a draw in this one. Both managers like to be solid, don't they? I think Forest, obviously the better team on paper and by league position, but playing away, we'll call that one a draw. Moving on, Blackburn 9th, Wigan 23rd. This is on Monday night. Does the amazing Blackburn run continue? Outside of that top 2, I suppose Brentford you can count as well, but Blackburn are the team at the moment. 7 wins in 9 games. Absolutely ridiculous turnaround when it looked like they were more heading towards the bottom 6 than the top 6. Brereton came in, suspended Dak last time, played up top with Gallagher. Cham says Wigan need to win. Absolutely they do. You'd expect one of those two, Brereton or Gallagher, to drop out and Dak to return. Be good to see Mowbray get some use. They've both been big signings, haven't they? Brereton and Gallagher. Maybe he's got some long-term plan, but it hasn't worked for either of them so much so far. So it'd be good to see them getting some use. But Blackburn on fire at the moment. Wigan, they've dug out 2 draws in the last 2 games, and one of those was against West Brom, but it was the midweek 3-game week, and Bilic did rest players, didn't he? But big picture, their forms are awful. 4 points across 10 games. Any time of the season, that is going to suck you towards that bottom 6 or towards the bottom if you're already down there, and they kind of were. That's why Wigan are in the bottom 3. We had seen Kiefer Moore and Joe Garner as a kind of up and up in front too, but it was Windass off Jamal Lowe, so he's still trying different stuff up the top there, Paul Cook. Said in the feed there, they need the win. I don't see them going and getting it away at Blackburn. Now, I know the Championship is weird, and this game has got home win written all over it, and normally on occasions like that we do see the odd away win come in, but we've got to go for Blackburn, especially. I'm sure Dak, it was only one match game, will be back and in. Let's go for another Blackburn win, and I guess I don't have the table up in front of me. I guess they start to be right in the playoff mix by then if they just need sort of 4 points from the next two. Saxon, first time I've caught the live stream. Hello. I predicted a Leeds win, and I will be at the game. That doesn't often happen, does it? Leeds win when I'm there. Luton versus Swansea. I've got Slippy Swansea and Lovable Luton for my alliteration. Swansea first win in 7 at home to Borough. They did finish the game with 9 men. Mr. E says Mowbray's done an amazing job. Well, certainly that turnaround, absolutely incredible. So we've got to agree with that, haven't we? And he took them up. I've got Saxon says don't go to the Leeds game. I beg you. I'm there. I'm sorry. They're big boys. They can cope with me in the audience, I'm sure. Different looking team to the one that won the first 5 of the first 6 games. Surridge seems to have played himself in, the young guy on loan, ahead of the expensive Baston up top there. AU seems to be the main kind of productivity guy off the front there. So still not sure about Swansea's big sense of regressing to the mean and the middle of the table. Luton have lost 9 in 12, but they have won the other 3. I know that's a lot of defeats, and they are clearly losing too many games, Luton. But one more win, you win 4, and you lose 8 of 12. You're still at 1 point per game, and that does seem to keep teams up across the whole season. 46 points would do. So, strangely, you could lose 8 games in 12 and be all right, but we'll see how this pans out for Luton. Potts doubtful, Craney back, Brown is the big miss, Izzy Brown. Thoughts on Macclesfield Town being deducted 6 points? Wasn't aware of the story. Tell me more about the story in the feed. I don't know if that's an FFP one. Luton versus Swansea. Let's break the habit of a lifetime and say that Luton are actually going to draw a game in this one. I think Swansea score. Cham says Luton needs reinforcements in January. Possibly, but if you saw the comments from their chairman, they're not going to be spending any money. So it would only be a loan or 2, you would imagine. I think the Luton squad for where they are is all right. They've just got to pick up a few more wins playing this style. Let's go for a draw in this one. I think Swansea will score because Luton are just so open, aren't they? They have that horrible defensive record. But at Kenilworth Road, Luton always have a point in the game where they pile a load of pressure on, don't they? Get those fullbacks forward. Millwall versus Barnsley. Millwall 11th, Barnsley 24th. Millwall on really good form, but Barnsley, I thought they were dead and gone and could be this season's Ipswich, but showing signs of life. Saxon says Luton and Barnsley just going for it. Yeah, I think it's probably their best bet, actually. Millwall, really impressive under Gary Rowett. 7 unbeaten, back-to-back away wins to end the 3-game week. Brilliant. Ben Thompson's a doubt, but whatever Rowett seems to do, we've had some different permutations up the top there. We've had a 3 at the back, and that got the win at Swansea, didn't it? Doing really, really well. Due to the game against Crewe being postponed, unpaid win. Oh, God. Not looking good at Macclesfield by the sounds of the feed in there. So big thumbs up for Rowett and Millwall at the moment. Something is stirring at Barnsley, as I said, 7 points in 4 games, loads of goals going in. Chaplin is now scoring alongside Woodrow. Brown, wide, sort of down the right-hand side, seems to be contributing loads as well. Oh, Thompson out for 3 months, says Joe in the feed. God, that's not good news for Millwall at all. That I didn't realise it was quite that bad an injury. They do still concede a ton of goals, Barnsley. Haum and Williams could return at the back. Everyone seems to love big Diaby at the back there. Let's see if he can get into the type of player we think he can be. Jackie says, Merry Christmas, Ben. Merry Christmas to you too, sir. God, prediction in this one is that Barnsley's defence is just so horribly bad that they'll probably score but still lose this one. They might even take the lead or something, and you can imagine, I don't know, Big Smith coming on and Millwall scoring from set plays or what have you. And so I think Millwall are going to win again. It'll either be, I don't see Barnsley winning, but either a draw or a Millwall win. But look, my instinct was Millwall win. Always go with your first instinct, said my first music teacher. So we'll go with that. QPR versus Charlton. Rangers very confusing. Charlton very worrying at the moment. Rangers got those 2 wins and those 2 clean sheets, and then let 5 go against Barnsley, just in the bottom half with that horrible defensive record. Warburton has tried so many different systems. Can't find the right one. He's tried all the Flair youngsters in together. He's tried a solid midfield. He's tried 4s. He's tried 3s. He's tried Hugo and Wells. He's tried one or the other. He's tried everything, literally everything. So I don't think he's any wiser really. Barbe and Rangel out at the back. That would help a couple of experienced guys. And Barbe, good passer as well from his Brentford day, sets the tone playing out from the back. Rangers, very confusing. Champ says Spurs buying Eze. That would cost them a pretty penny. Mourinho even playing, goodness me. Charlton did have a bit of a gap between the sort of 7. Oh, Lewis has commented, we need to stick with 4 at the back. Barnsley was an example of why the 3/5 at the back doesn't work. Well, 5 against would seem to imply so, yes. Charlton did have a bit of a gap between themselves and the bottom 7, but just in such horrible point scoring form, 2 points in 6. They're bottom of the form table. And there's a few teams in the bottom 6 that have literally won 2 games in that period and put, 4, 5, 6 points on Charlton. So they are dropping like a stone. Still, no Page, no Cullen, no Forster Kaski, no Kale, no Oztuma, no Anike, no Hemed. And they thought they had Williams back, but the same old problems that happened, sadly, after he started the season so well. Lyle Taylor is back in. Up top, small mercies for them. Jordan says, at least Warburton is changing systems and not stuck with his 4-3-3 and been stubborn. You would think that QPR would win this one. If I were Warburton, I would be trying to get as many of Bright Samuel, Chair, Eze, Wells, Hugo on, and just go at Charlton and make sure you've got some holding midfielders because they're injured, they're out of form. And you should be able to get at them. So I'm going to go for a home win there at the Kevin Prince Boateng Stadium, as I've jokingly called it on here before. I can't remember what it's called. Hull versus Birmingham, 14th versus 15th. That's the tightest matchup we've got. Next door teams playing each other. Inconsistent though, both of these 2 teams. Desi says, everyone underestimate Birmingham. Will be up there end of the season. Interesting perspective. 1 and 2 wins respectively in those last 6. Although Hull do have 4 wins at home in their last 6 games there. No McGuinness, no Torrell, no Stewart. Crowley will be back for Blues. He's had a pretty good season. It's been a good signing actually for, 750 grand. No Roberts or Clark Salter. Chan points out Harley Dean. Well, if those centre halves are out, then Dean, is he back from suspension? I think he is, isn't he? Yeah, he scored, didn't he? Yeah. So, oh God, difficult one to call. I guess it depends on Bowen, doesn't it? If Bowen plays well, Hull will win. If Bowen doesn't score, Birmingham will win. I suspect Bowen will play well and score. So I'm going to go for a Hull win, which would be their 5th win in 7 home games. 2 to go. Reading versus Derby. Reading 18th, Derby 16th. Matt says Birmingham to win. It's close one to call, isn't it? Hey, I've been wrong many times before on this. Many times every week, in fact. Reading versus Derby, 18 versus 16. Both out of sorts a little, aren't they? 1 win in 6 for both teams. Derby, horrible away form as well. It's one of these games where both teams will circle it, won't they? Killer blow to Reading, however, is John Swift for 4 weeks. He's always, I wouldn't say their best player, but for setting the tone and for the key passes and those type of metrics, really important player. Good set play guy as well. No Yidam, no Miazga, unlikely. And Puskas is a risk. He'll need strapping and injections. You would think, given there's Maito and Boye and Yao's come back, that they would save him for the following week. But Mark Bowen does seem to like him, doesn't he? Bielik and Marriott return for Derby. No Clark, Bennett, Shinnie, Huddleston. Joe says, thoughts on Philippe Koku? Well, it's not working out so far, is it? And I had an interesting shout about Rooney. Is that a difficult guy to have around whilst you're struggling for your job? Because after Lampard did so well, will there then be the clamour for, just have Rooney take over if he does as well as Lampard? Then all is well, isn't it? But difficult time for Derby. Let's go for the Swift injury to be the key thing, and let's go for a controversial one. Derby to break their hoodoo and scrape some kind of win at Reading. Although, God, they've got no centre midfielders by the look of it. A couple of comments about Charlie Adam. He's actually got into that team. I don't know how fit he is. Didn't look that way at Stoke last season. So, look, I've gone for it. Let's go for a Derby away win, an unlikely one. Probably get a good price on that one. Big one at the bottom. That's happening tonight. What time is it? In about an hour and 15 minutes. So this is where I stitch myself up, because the team will be up by the time you're watching this, probably. Stoke could move level on points with Borough and thus put them into the bottom three with a win, or Borough could open up a 6-point gap. There's arguments that both teams could win this. Borough have had a good run of 8 points in 5 games. Ridley asked about Derby in the second half of the season. Remind me of that. Matt says this is a nailed-on 1-1. I tend to agree with him, actually. 8 points in 5 for Borough. Assombalonga back from the ankle injury. They've been good at home against direct rivals, have Borough. That's where they've taken most of their points this season. Brown is suspended, but more importantly, McNair is suspended, who I think is probably, in a similar way to Swift at Reading, has actually been pretty good for Borough this season, carrying the ball and driving the team forward. You need that when confidence is low and you're down the bottom, a ball carrying midfielder. Very helpful. Stoke have 4 points from the last 2, and again against direct rivals. So I agree with Matt in the feed that being both teams tend to do all right against those direct rivals, that does imply a good upside for staying up, because you can just take enough points from those games against the bottom 6 teams to bump everything up whilst damaging them in the process. Let's go with Matt's prediction and say 1-1. There was a question about, Cham says both teams horrendously underperforming. I agree with that for Stoke. Yes, horrendously underperforming. Borough, I would just say probably underperforming. And if you look at the squad compared to under Monk and the investment, then not quite the calibre of player in there that there was. And there's a question about Derby in the feed in the second half of the season. You just don't see Derby being in the bottom 6 or 7, do you? But they really need to sort out that form away from home. Ridley says Coker will bring in a creative midfielder and centre half. Interesting. And my missus says in the feed 10 minutes arrival, which means I probably have to stop the feed. We have friends coming over. Any more questions, I can answer them if it takes me less than 10 minutes to answer them. If not, look out for the review tomorrow. I won't be doing the game tonight. As I say, we are entertaining. But, thank you, darling. I will be at Fulham versus Leeds tomorrow. Really looking forward to that. My 2 really good games at the top of the league should be very telling. And I guess the neutral in me wants Brentford and Fulham to kind of close the gap up. But I'm an admirer of good teams. And if they deserve it, they deserve it. Michael says, I think bees are going to make people take them seriously with a win. Yeah, we've been thinking it's going to happen for years with Brentford now, hasn't it? So maybe this is the time. Who knows? But it just could be that those two whipped behave. It could be that those two are just a cut above this season, sort of Brighton Newcastle type scenario that we've mentioned before on the channel. It would appear that only maybe Fulham and Brentford can go with them at the moment. Apologies, Bristol City, Preston, Cardiff fans, etc. Baggy's got to be due a loss. Yeah, God, one loss all season, incredible. Both those teams, if they end the weekend and they're both 50 or above on the points, then frankly they deserve everything they get, don't they? Because that's a crazy good total for half a season. Right, I will bid you all farewell. Follow me on Twitter at Benjamin Bloom. As I say, hit subscribe, ring the bell, and I will be at Leeds Fulham Leeds even tomorrow. You can support monetarily on Patreon, patreon.com/Benjamin Bloom. A quick one from Nathaniel. What would I say Wednesday's chances of promotion are? Honestly, if there wasn't the FFP thing, I would say pretty decent, because it's very, very open. They've got experienced players. They've got quality. Bannon, Reach, Forestieri, even Fletcher at this level. If they get a huge points deduction, then they're not going to finish in the top 6, are they? It's just going to be too difficult. So all depends on Mr. Chansiri's lawyers and the EFL. Jaggy says we're definitely going to lose now. You've got to put this curse thing to bed, Leeds fans. Honestly, it doesn't exist. I'm an unimportant YouTuber, and you have a really good team, and it's not my fault if that really good team always loses in London, where I'm more likely to be at a game. There we go. Right, enough from me. I'm off to entertain. Thank you everybody for watching. There'll be plenty of videos leading up to Christmas, but I will wish everyone a Merry Christmas if you're doing other family stuff and you're not checking in on YouTube, although, come on, loads of time. All we're going to be doing is eating and watching YouTube, aren't we? So there we go. Right, time to go. I meet you at Wembley. I'm the Millwall steward. Oh, nice one, Rob. Great stuff. Was that at the Charlton playoff? Enjoy my meal. Thank you very much. And I will see you all very soon. Bye-bye. The 8th goodbye.